Hi everyone, my name is Phil. I've utilized YouTube quite a bit for different projects, working on the car and whatnot, and I just thought I'd share this little piece of advice about removing your bumper and reinforcement bar. This is off of a 2005 Ford Focus wagon ZXW. As you can see, I already have the bumper off, and usually when I watch a video where the part's already off, it's kind of annoying. But if I were to start this video from the beginning, it would take far too long. But I think with the advice that I give you today, you'll be able to do this without any trouble. You'll notice when I took the bolts off of the reinforcement bar, they snapped, but luckily the new part will line up with these holes, and I can just drill some new holes.
Okay, actually I decided to drill out
the also remove the upper reinforcement, which is really just holding down the part of the bumper cover. So that was completely rusted out. I had to patch some holes, and I just painted it not too long ago, so it looks pretty good, and this part of it is ready to go. Okay, so I think by looking at, this is the passenger side, I think you'll be able to take this apart without any trouble at all. This bolt here is in the top left, pretty easy to get to. This bolt here is inside the hidden compartment in the back of the station wagon, and I'll show you that. There's a connector here. This is for the inside wheel well cover, and then there's two holes here which are just the simple plastic rivets. Looking at the bumper a little bit closer, you'll see the 4 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are for connecting to the upper reinforcement bar. And when I took those rivets out, I just pretty much just destroyed them, and I'm just going to put new ones in. This is the bumper, by the way, or the reinforcement bar, I should say. You can see it's pretty well rusted. They kind of recommended that I put a new one on to pass inspection, and so that's what I'm going to do. I'm waiting for the parts to come in. Okay, so you can see it was just held on by 2 bolts, but like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to utilize this hole here, and I'm going to drill out another hole there to hold down the reinforcement bar. Also, there's on the absorber, this actually doesn't come off too easily. You can see there's a hole here. I'll show you the rivet for that, and one on the other side. And a way to get that out is I basically had to take a chisel, put it down into the cavity, and I blasted out the rivet from the inside. Okay, so here's the rivet. I'm not sure how I'm going to replace this just yet, but this basically was sitting inside of here. Kind of hard to see, but I blasted that from the inside. That was the only way to get it out without destroying the absorber. Okay, so on the inside, here's the area, the little hidden compartment for the wagon. And sure enough, well, you can see the holes. That's where the bolt comes through, and that's how you take apart the upper portion of the bracket, actually, that holds the bumper cover. And that's what that looks like. Easy to take off. And again, this is basically the nut for the upper left hand portion of the bracket that I mentioned earlier. So I did take off the lights on this side, but then I realized that that wasn't even necessary because nothing is even attached to the lights, so the backlights do not have to be removed. So I would, now if you need to kind of get around a little bit better, go ahead, but really honestly you don't need to. Just showing you a little bit more what it looks like with the bumper taken off. So as you can see, I do have the car on ramps with the jacks in place for extra support. Okay, obviously safety is important. I also wanted to mention too, when you order your parts, make sure you put in your VIN number. These reinforcement bars are not the same on all Ford Focus vehicles, and that's why it's really important that you get the exact part number. And some of these parts are hard to find, so make sure you get those first before you get started. Okay, so this is underneath the car. I'm putting the bumper back on now. You can see here in the top left corner, you can see the bolt sticking out there. That's where the one connector is from what I showed earlier for the bracket, and then here's the two holes. Okay, so I'm just going to push the plastic rivets up through there. I think that was another plastic rivet up into here. I gotta line it up better. And then I also didn't mention, because the old reinforcement bar was so rusted out, there's actually the connector here to a bracket. So I just need to put a push pin rivet in that one too, and then we're going to be good to go. Okay, just a few more tips and we'll call it a wrap. So first I just wanted to mention that this is what the rivet looks like for these bottom two holes. These don't have to be destroyed. There's a button in the center, and you just kind of pop that down, and the rivet will slide out without any difficulty. The important thing to keep in mind too is that this bracket does not have to be removed. The only thing you're removing is the nut off this bolt and off of that bolt, and you're taking all of the plastic rivets off, the four in the back, and the cover is going to come right off. Okay, also this, like I mentioned before, the upper reinforcement was completely destroyed. This bolt, which is fused in the back, it's probably welded, I had to drill it out, and what I'm going to use is called a rivet nut. It's a blind threaded nut that I just discovered recently. I plan to put that in. I wouldn't use those necessarily on the reinforcement bar, the main one. I'm not sure how well it would hold, but it would certainly be fine for the upper reinforcement. Again, that's just holding the plastic part of the cover, so that's not going to be a big deal. Thanks for watching, and sorry I couldn't show the removal, but I think with everything that I've shown you so far, you won't have any trouble at all. Thanks.